Hi everyone. Here are my predictions, forecasts for the year 2018 into 2019. And this year, really, the biggest flavour of this year ahead is going to be one of restructuring. At the end of 2017, Saturn went into Capricorn, where it's going to stay until December of 2020. So Saturn is at home in Capricorn. It's in its rulership, so it's strong. And what I feel we're going to see is a period of great restructuring, especially as we build up into the year 2020, 2021, as everything begins to move into the energy of Capricorn. And Capricorn rules governments, big banks, big corporations, big pharma, big food companies, anything that's big in terms of how our organizations are structured. And when Saturn is in Capricorn, one of the biggest things that comes up is integrity. Control. Who's in charge here? Do we need to streamline our systems? I think we're going to see various breakdowns of governments. I think we're going to see a restructuring of how we govern ourselves, how we govern our world, how we govern our internet, how we govern how we do trade and business. Because we're at the end of that whole era of Saturn in Sagittarius, trade and borders and passports and Brexits and all those kinds of things. But now how do we deal with all of those things? So Saturn in Capricorn is a really wonderful opportunity for us over these next years to restructure the controls of our world. Because let's face it, we're living in a world right now where many people are debt slaves, and 96 or 90 odd percent owns 2% owns 90 odd percent of the wealth on this planet. So the structure is incorrect. It's not equitable. It lacks integrity. What structure will have integrity? This will be the big question over these next years, and it's just beginning to happen in 2018. I do believe that we'll see some really serious leaders, some leaders who really want to bring change for good, equitable changes into our world. So look out for that. The other really big event is Uranus moving into Taurus on May 16th of 2018, where it will stay until 2026, pretty much most of that time. So this is huge. We're getting this lineup of Earth energy. Pluto is already in Capricorn, been there since the end of, since November of 2008. And here we get Saturn in Capricorn, end of 2017. May of 2018, we've got Uranus into Taurus. So we're in a process of dealing with our Earth. It's all Earth energy here. How are we going to take care of our Earth? How are we going to feed ourselves? How come that one part of the world has got so much food they throw it away, and the other part of the world is dying of hunger? We have to find ways to balance food, how we grow food. I'm anticipating that there will be various earth changes, innovations as to how we can take care of our earth, how we can use energy more efficiently, free energy. I think there'll be some turbulence in these changes because Uranus is an awakening. You know, what on earth are we doing transporting food halfway across the world? Why aren't we finding ways of growing things locally, new ways? We're going to see new innovative entrepreneurial products coming on the market. Anything to do with the economy is going to come in for, because Taurus rules money, so the economy is going to come in for some big shifts during these years. Again, you know, what about currency? Is it going to be one world currency? What's going to happen with gold and silver? Are there going to be any reality? Is anything going to be backed by this currency, or is it just pieces of paper that you can burn? So I think gold and silver will be major players during this time. I think that we'll see food and resources really have a big shake-up at this time. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are likely to see a big shake-up. Even outside, we're hearing the shake-up with ambulances or police cars going by, because it really will be almost like an alarm call. It's how much more are we going to live with quadrillions of debt, with unsustainable growth that's harming our planet? So these are all wonderful questions that are going to come up. They're going to be new ways of bartering, of transacting with one another, of exchanging services, of saying thank you for what we have. I think the internet is going to be hugely involved, because Uranus, the internet, Taurus, how we exchange services, is coming up for some big shifts. And then with Saturn in Capricorn, how are we going to legally do it? What are we going to do with our laws? Are they going to be restrictive? And is Uranus in Taurus going to break out of them anyway? These are all really fascinating questions, and I think that we're going to see possibly some seismic shifts on the planet, maybe some probably some likely weather shifts and all these kinds of things associated with Uranus coming into Taurus. I also think we might see people shifting around a lot more. Taurus is a fixed sign and doesn't like to move. And Uranus says, sorry Taurus, you've got to move. You can't stay still in that place. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to find a new home, different places, maybe more communities springing up. Communities in the way that we grow food, we sustain ourselves, we take care of one another. What is this with putting our old people into homes? Yes, what are we going to do with old people? This Capricorn energy is, well, what are we doing with aging populations? How are we dealing with age and the body and the bones and the teeth and all these things that Saturn rules? I think we're going to see great innovations and changes in these areas. So these are really quite important areas, and I think what's going to be important is how grounded you can stay, how centered you can stay through all these shifts. Because with so much in this earth energy, it's going to be important to place your feet on the earth, your hands, hug trees, talk to nature. I'm always talking to flowers and birds and bees and animals. We must get in tune with nature, with the ancients, with messages from old that are around us that can help us now through this new awakening as to how we're going to restructure our planet for the new consciousness that is coming, that is amidst us. So what we've got, which is rather unusual, is that by the middle of 2018, May, we've got all these planets, all the outer planets, well, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, in earth and water signs. So earth and water predominate during this year. So I'm going to suggest that you look at the water you're drinking, you pray on the water, you love the water. There'll be issues around water probably coming up. We're going to have to develop our intuitive senses more. Jupiter in Scorpio until November of 2018. We're going to have to get in touch with ETs, unseen forces, all those kinds of things. Our psychic energy, dreams, all these are going to be really powerful. Visions, people having visions, seeing things. You may have these, and really bringing ourselves, so to speak, right down into our earth. yes? And at the same time tuning in with those unseen vibrations and energies. And that will be what will guide us the best during these times. The air energy, I'll come to a bit of that in a little while, but the air and the fire now are quieter. Doesn't mean to say they won't activate things in the shorter transits, but overall these longer energies, we're in these gentler, quieter times where it's not so much discussion and talking, but more realistic action, more realistic planning, structures that can work for more of us, and being willing to try different things, to experiment. And I think we'll find that housing will shift, how we house ourselves, how we live, whether we're going to live such isolated lives or whether we're going to come together more in different ways, because we've got communities online now that are tremendously powerful. And I think that that's going to grow into some physical communities of people getting together and saying, right, let's be real now, it's earth energy, let's actually make this our reality. Tiny houses, houses on wheels, homes in warehouses, different ways. Instead of the traditional way, I've got to get a mortgage, I've got to pay it for 20 odd years, I'm tied to this, we're going to see shared resources, it's all in the mix. And to me, this looks extremely exciting. And for those of you in these fields, interested in anything to do with the earth, recycling, health, healing, pharmaceuticals, healing pharmaceuticals, ancient remedies, anything to do with housing, the economy, money, all of these things, there's going to be tremendous opportunities in these areas. And especially as well for people wanting their own businesses, for wanting to be their own bosses, not working for these great big conglomerations anymore, and bringing more meaning into your everyday work, having it really make a contribution. Powerful stuff, isn't it? Then, unusually this year, we've got our usual 3 times of Mercury retrograde. And Mercury retrogrades are actually in the fire signs, so we're going to have to be aware of when we're talking things up, when we're talking up a storm, and there's no reality to it, there's no substance to it, because these planets now want substance. They want to see something rather than hot air. We've had a lot of hot air, now we need some really serious action. So Mars goes retrograde June 26th to August 27th. I'll put a list of the important dates up at the end of this video, so don't worry, they'll be there for you for your reference. And when Mars goes retrograde, it's going to be retrograde in Aquarius, this is an opportunity for an energy reset. Yes, Mars likes to always push forward. Well, when it goes retrograde, it's time to reassess how you're using your time, what you're putting your energy into, to back off a little bit, to be more peaceful, to be more quiet, to look at different ways of using technology. I think there'll be definitely some, maybe some projects, technological projects that have been on ice or been in the thinking tank for a while. I think that they may well get re-energized during that Mars retrograde period. Powerful time, Mars retro. The important thing is not to get impatient, not to start new projects during that time, but to really reassess things. And then once it goes direct after August 27th, then you can start to do some of the things that you've been ruminating upon. And I think this would be a global thing as well as a personal thing. On October the 5th until November 17th, we've also got Venus going retrograde, so unusual to have the 2 of them going retro this year. I've done a series of 3 videos about retrogrades for those of you who are interested in going deeper into them. And so Venus going retrograde, Venus ruling your love and money, so an opportunity for a rethink in these areas, how we use money, how we're spending money, basically, you know, all these derivatives, hedge funds, everything. What's tenable, what's not? You might see a big reversal in markets. this year because of so much retrograde action. So big reversals and then big forward and backward and forwards. And then the same with relationships. Relationships that have been broken may come back together again. Somebody who's not been on the scene for a while may come back into the scene, possibly in politics, political leaders coming back, or anybody, activists coming back once again. It's going to be retrograde in Scorpio, then back into Libra, into its rulership. So again, looking for balanced relationships where everybody gets their needs met. And on November the 8th, we've got Jupiter moving into Sagittarius. That's a shift there. It's going to go into its rulership. So it's going to be really an opening there, an opening of new horizons, especially if we've done the hard work between the beginning of the year until November. I think we could see things blossoming, moving forward, growing exponentially. Any new projects that you might begin could really just see a boost and a boom towards the end of the year, because Jupiter then in its rulership, lots of potentials, lots of possibilities, and there until December 2nd of 2019. The eclipses this year are continuing to be in Leo and Aquarius, and there's one eclipse in Cancer. So we're gradually moving from this Leo Aquarius energy, which is very much about finding your authentic self, your individuality, and then contributing your individuality into this new world that we're creating. So this is powerful, and we'll be moving into eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn, which again will be to do with how our structures, our homelands, our countries, how we view our world now, and whether we can really eliminate so many borders and restrictions that we have, and see that we are separate, and that yet there is the paradox of that we are one, and how we work with those vibrational energies. Of course, it's going to be very valuable to know where these transits are happening in your chart. That's why I've done the 2018-19 forecast for each sign. You can also, of course, have a personal reading to go into more depth as to how you can make best use of the potential of these huge shifts that are happening during 2018 into 2019. So I'm excited about this year ahead. I think there are lots of possibilities and opportunities, especially if we remember the key words for me of earth and water energy, staying earth, staying centered, staying grounded, doing whatever it takes to do that, and playing with the energy of earth and water a lot. So rolling in the mud, swimming, going out in the rain, whatever it is that brings you in touch with these energies will help you maneuver and navigate through what promises to be a fairly turbulent year, but a year that's going to open up some new possibilities, especially with finances and with our economy. So I think it's going to be a very interesting year ahead. So I'm excited to interact with you, to hear what you feel about this, and I hope you've enjoyed this perspective. Thanks very much for listening. Bye for now.